Hey everybody, it's George from DinosaurGeorge.com answering all these incredible questions. Let's jump right into it. This one comes from Ryan from, I think it's pronounced Berea, Ohio. I think that's how you pronounce it. He said, do you think Carnotaurus had camouflage? If so, do you think it was like a chameleon or an octopus? Well, you know, in order to change the color patterns on the skin very quickly, you have to have certain kind of, boy, I wish I could remember the term for what those things are called. Rats. Anyway, they basically are designed to flash the color and change it rather abruptly. I don't know if dinosaurs had that capability. Now, I do know that since they do have a reptilian ancestry, it's not unusual to think that they had the ability to change colors. I think they could. I think they did. Color is very important in the animal kingdom. It's a way to communicate emotion, and that's a very important thing. So I do believe that they could change colors, maybe not as rapidly, say, as a chameleon or an octopus, but in my opinion, they certainly could. That's a good question, Ryan. Okay. Dabbiel from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Hello, Dinosaur George. It's great to contact you. Dabbiel, and again, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. It's great to hear from you, buddy. Well, I recently watched Jack Horner's documentary, Valley of the T-Rex, where he talks about a fossil nicknamed G-Rex, which is so far the oldest known tyrannosaur. Horner explains and demonstrates that the femur and the tibia, that's the upper and lower leg bones, of this specimen are about the same length, which differentiates it from the later dinosaur, the later T-Rexes, where the upper leg is longer than the lower leg. So basically he uses that to assert this and to support the theory that T-Rex was a scavenger because he wasn't capable of running quickly. Dabbiel, here's my opinion of that. First of all, there's so few Tyrannosaurus remains that it's very difficult to make these wide-sweeping ideas based on one particular animal. Look at all of your friends and family and compare how their bodies are put together. You'll find that in some instances, some people's legs are shorter comparative to their body than the rest of them. Some people's legs are incredibly long. Well, if we only found a tall human and we made assessments that all humans were tall because of that, then I think it would be inaccurate. I say that because I think that by looking at one particular specimen and looking at its legs and then assuming that that represents all specimens of that time frame is not very accurate. I don't believe that at all. In my opinion, and I respect Dr. Horner's work considerably, but in my opinion, sometimes we get so focused on believing a certain thing that we have a tendency to look at evidence from only one point of view. It's a very common thing to happen in the science community. It happens all the time. You get people that want something to be the case, and therefore they have a tendency to only focus on that evidence which supports that idea. But when everybody else looks at the same evidence and comes up with a different point of view, then I think you have to look at it from a broader perspective. And I don't believe that's what's happening. I think the fact that you find this one T-Rex that has a unique leg design and then making your assertions that demonstrates that that animal would have been more of a scavenger, to me just doesn't make any sense. So I disagree with it. I'll tell you this, every T-Rex I've ever looked at, every single one I've ever looked at, the pubis bone is completely different from the others. So that you couldn't go around and pick the one that supports your concept and say, see, this proves it, because they're all definitely different from each other. So that's why I say that I don't think there's enough evidence to support that at this point. And I do not believe that Tyrannosaurus Rex was anything more than a gigantic predator who would scavenge if in fact he had the opportunity. Okay. Zack from Uniontown, Pennsylvania, my dear friend Zack, he said, Dear George, I've got two questions this time. First, have you ever taken an acting class, or do you naturally talk with your hands? No, Zack, I've never taken an acting class, and people tell me, would you stop moving your hands so much? When we were filming Jurassic Fight Club, the poor guys that I was filming in front of a green screen, and that means everything that goes on behind you has to be changed. So when you move your hand a lot and they drop in an image back there, they have a tough time trying to make it look flawless. So they would get mad at me because my hands moved too much. They swore one time they were going to tape my hands together. So no, I've not taken any acting classes, but I am very passionate about dinosaurs. And perhaps there is some Greek in me, because I believe it's the Greeks who use their hands to express their feelings. All right. Second, on Jurassic Fight Club, they said that Gastonia's tail was like a big pair of hedge clippers. What do you believe the tail was used for, your good friend Zack? And he said, P.S. Jurassic Fight Club is awesome and is my favorite show. Zack, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. I believe looking at the skeleton of Gastonia, clearly its tail was an absolute weapon. You do not have those sharp, pointy plates on your tail there for decoration. They are absolutely, in my opinion, used for defense. And when they would scissor together, they would act like a giant pair of shears. And I do believe that's exactly what they were for. Okay, finally, Steve from Lima, New York. Or do you guys pronounce it Lima? Steve, I'm not sure. I would get, maybe it's Lima, New York, or Lima, whatever the case. He says, hello, I keep hearing that scientists say that prehistoric mammals like the mastodons, or the woolly rhino, or panthera, the short-faced bear, etc., were wiped out because of another asteroid. Did that happen, or was it climate change? I got to tell you, Steve, I've talked to a lot of different people, and there's three basic theories that I'm aware of. One is that climate change probably did it, and I have a tendency to go with that one based on what I know. The second is asteroid impact. It's starting to appear that there could have been an asteroid impact at the end of the Pleistocene when most of these guys go extinct. And finally, there's evidence that suggests that there was a large amount of volcanic activity taking place, and that too may have been enough to alter the environment and cause their extinctions. Sometimes when we look at the extinction of animals, we always want to look for the big, gigantic smoking gun, when in fact, it could be something very minor. All life is interconnected with each other, and the slightest change can have a domino effect. So you may not think it's any big deal that there was one kind of ant living in an area and then it's gone the next time you come back, but that ant could have had a very positive impact on its environment. And because that ant dies for whatever reason, it begins a chain of events that happens. And that kind of thing can occur. And sometimes we want to see these gigantic Hollywood-like endings to life, but it could be something as simple as a slight change in the environment, or perhaps new plants moving in and taking over. All right, listen, if you've got a question, please write to me at dinosaurgeorge.com. While you're there, sign up to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Everybody, we're getting very close to the new year, so I hope you all have a very safe and happy new year, and I will talk to you all again soon. And remember, you guys, take care of yourselves and take care of the people around you, especially those that need your help the most. And for you young people, I don't have to say it. You know the rules. I'll talk to you soon.